Hello, I'm cubicApocalypse, and in this tutorial I'm going to teach you how to use the art library of Roll20.net along with how to turn the blank tabletop into an exciting map for your campaign. We aren't going to use a map as elaborate as this one. I just wanted to show you how much you can actually build in Roll20 and how elaborate it can get. This is a 300 by 300 map. Or at least the tabletop is 300 by 300, and this is a lot of work goes into something like this. But this is what the expansive nature of what Roll20 allows you to do and build. But we won't build something this massive. I'll let you tackle that on your own. Instead, we're going to do something a bit smaller and easier to maintain for people who are just starting out. So let's get started here. First, we're going to have to go to the Art Library tab itself. And in here, you have your drop-down menu, which I don't know why it doesn't show up for Roll20 when recording, but there's a drop-down menu. You have tokens, you have maps, tiles, and textures, you have portraits, and then you can search for everything. It searches their marketplace stuff for free stuff. It does some customized Google search stuff. It does different kinds of searches for it. And you just type it in here, like you said before. You saw I had fighter on there. I have fighter. Now these two pop up right away because I have them starred. And you can go through and you can just click the star button and it'll save it for you. So every time I type fighter, I'll just hit enter again. It'll reload it. It loads that one I saved. Now, in order to access those to see if I don't want this guy, there's a star right here. You open this up and it opens up your library, along with some other features that we'll get to. But you can search, for specific ones, and it'll pop up only those. Or you can just, go back to normal library, and you have, I have a bunch of stuff in here, which we'll be using. And then you got your library, which starts off here. If you want to get rid of something, you hit the trash can here. If you want to edit your tags for what you wanna, how you want to search for something, so I can do man. So if I come over here now, type in man, he appears now. You can type in man or fighter, doesn't matter now. You can add tags, remove tags, you can select all, you can delete selected by having him selected, just by clicking. You can select multiples and you can delete selected. Well, if I want to just delete him, I can either delete selected, or I can just hit the trash can. It'll ask me if I want to delete it, confirm, bam, he's gone. Now if I type in man again, he doesn't pop up. So that's your library section. Then we have your purchases, which if we go into the marketplace and you purchase anything, it'll show up here. So if we go into the marketplace and ask you, confirm that you're going to an external link, opens in a new tab, and now you have the marketplace where you can actually pay real money to get, professional made tokens and artist made tokens. Really nice, cool feature. All different kinds. You have premier sets, you have free assets here. Very nice. I have a barmaid there. Troll, you've seen this before in previous tutorials, that troll warrior, which all I did was enter in troll here and he came up right away. That's in the free. You have all different sections here. You can go into your library through the marketplace here and see your stuff here and do the same exact thing, same exact setup as in before, as in your library here. And then also you have the actual browsing part, which is the previous, but you can also do searches, and let's just do free. Now I have a bunch of free, even sets, token sets and map sets that are free to use. Completely free, multiple pages of this stuff for you to use as you see fit. Or, like I said, or you can go in here and you can actually purchase something, $5 for this set. and it's a bunch of different characters here. If you want to use this character setup, interesting characters, you can, you know, buy them for $5 and then you'll have access to them, and then those will appear here in your purchases. And then the other way to get artwork is uploading themselves. You can click here and it'll open the window and you can find your file, or you can drag and drop it in and it'll load it up. And so now it's loaded, it's right there, right? You can go to your library here and you can see it here. You can, you gotta make sure you're on map and background mode if you're placing a map. You can drag and drop it. It shows that, you know, can't do motion, but it still works. And then if we select the token or map icon, the artwork, we have little corners here where we can stretch it. And we can stretch it this way. You know, we can make it bigger. This is the rotation tool up top here. It automatically snaps to different directions. And then let me close this real fast. And we can expand this out here and make it bigger. And remember, we can use the zoom tools that I've showed in previous tutorials on zooming out to be able to see the bigger picture. We make this bigger, right? And we'll put it in the corner there. And now there's something you can do with this. If we hold Alt down and we try to scale it, right? It no longer snaps to the grids. If you see, if I zoom in here, you can see that it's this point here, to be able to adjust it, is right in the middle of this square. So it doesn't, you hold Alt, it disables the snap to grid whenever you're adjusting something. If you let go of Alt and you snap it and you move it, it will it'll snap back to it. If you hold Shift, you can adjust the scale, the dimensions of it, and skew it and change its proportion. But as soon as you let go, it snaps to grid. It snaps to the closest corner. But if you hold Alt and Shift, you can now scale it and move it however you want off the grid. And as soon as you let go, it does not snap to the grid. As soon as you let go of Alt and Shift, though, you're back to your normal standard way of moving and scaling your map. Now, one other really nice feature with making maps in your artwork, using artwork and making maps and all this fancy stuff here, is if you have a map here that has grids on it. It's got predetermined grids. See how it's got the grids behind the Roll20 grid. Well, if I right click on this map, this image, and I go to Advanced, and I go Align to Grid, it'll give me some details here, and this tool allows you to quickly size your map background to match the Roll20 grid on the current page. Click and drag the box to make a 3x3 grid cells on the map's background you're using. So don't go off of the actual Roll20 grid. You want to go off of the actual map, the image. So if I go here and I click and I drag and I go by 3x3, so in other words 9 squares, and I click, it'll ask me to confirm. Now if you know the adjustments and angles, you can change them, try to adjust them a little more. You can try again if you didn't get it right. I'm going to try again, see if I can get a little bit more accuracy here. And we line it up again. This can be a little tricky, and you might find yourself redoing this every single time. And we'll just click Line to Grid, and it lines it up. And I notice it is slightly off, and that's what I'm saying is it's not perfect science for this. It will be off somewhat. Stuff like this being off this much, it might not matter. But one thing you have to note, that even though up here it might seem like it's lined up, down here it might not be. And that might be because your scale here, zoom out a little more, and get my, there it is. Your scale of how you have the map set up might not be right. So now I completely messed it up, but let me do that again. Let me go into Advanced, Align to Grid, and map it out here, line it up. should be good. Now I got a completely different number. Let's see what this looks like. It's not perfectly lined up, but sometimes it doesn't matter. Because this might be good enough. As long as they can tell which square they're on, not that big of a deal. You can even turn grids off if you want, and then who cares? All you know is that you don't want them going outside your map. So that's one way for pre-determined maps, pre-made maps, where you can align the grid and set it up to use the grid system on the map itself. I'm going to go ahead and just delete this though. Simple hitting the delete button. Because we're going to make a map from scratch. We're going to take components of the art library here. You notice I had some pre-selected in the library. But instead of coming in here and having this window on here when I want to place stuff and dragging and dropping it and whatnot, instead we're going to actually just type in the search. So if I want a grass field, I got some favored here. We're going to drag this in here. And now I'm on the map and background layer. If I was on the tokens and objects layer, it would go in a single block and it would be placed like a token, not like a background. So you want to make sure you're on the map and background layer. We're going to set this in here and make it a little bigger. You can it doesn't really matter. I mean, the bigger you make it, obviously, the more the texture is going to be bigger, and it might look kind of odd. Now, this isn't the greatest piece of grass, so we're going to shrink it down. And now I'm going to hit Control-C, Control-V. Now, the reason it placed where it was is because I clicked. If I click over here, it appears over there. If I click over here, it appears over here. Hit again, it'll appear right back where it was. And I'm going to make a little map here. Now this is going to be a fairly small map, just for the sake of time. But the reason I do the pieces individually here is because, again, if I make this a really, really big grassy, I blow this thing up here, it's not going to look all that nice. And I want it to look nice. I want my players to be satisfied with the appearance of this place. So now I've created all these. Well, now to speed this up, I can click and drag, and I can select this row, or I can select the whole thing, right? Control-C again. You can also right-click, and you got the options right here: copy, paste, undo, send to front, send to back. So if you place the house, so we're going to place a house in a little bit here. You place a house, and somehow it gets placed behind the grass artwork tile. You can select the grass, and you can click send to back, and it'll send it behind everything, so the house will appear. But we're going to select all this. I'm just going to copy it. I'm going to click down here, and I'm going to hit paste. Now, if you got a slower computer, this might cause some issues because it does take a bit to render in. Just like 3D dice, enabling 3D dice can cause some lagging on older computers, so do be careful with that. But otherwise, I just made a nice little map here. So we got the grass field. Now let's get a road. I get spelled. Let's get a road. So we got a road here. I'm gonna just drag this in. Now it's all skewed, right? Okay, well, we're gonna rotate it. And then I'm gonna hold Alt and Shift. Actually, we're just gonna hold Shift. Because I don't care if it snaps. We'll let it snap. I'm gonna hold Shift. We'll make it a little wider road. There we go. So now they have the road. All right, we're gonna move that up a little bit here because we got some other stuff to place. So we got a road here. You notice I just, I held Shift, I scaled it, rotated it. Right there, plain and simple. So after that, let's bring in the house. Type in house here, or houses. I have 2 saved. We're gonna drag this one in here. Now, so here's something to notice about. I'm gonna drag the other house in here real fast, and you can see the difference. You notice how one house looks like it fits a little bit better. It blends in a little bit more. And the other house here, that looks ugly. That looks really ugly. And the reason is because the artist who imported this image, they didn't get rid of the background. They didn't make the background transparent. That's a whole graphical editing, artwork side, which that's honestly very poor work. It's really, really shoddy, poor work. If you want to be known for making artwork on this place, don't do this. Bad. Because unless you have a white background, this kind of ruins the feel. So try to go for more, you know, this one has the transparent background, it fits better. So we're going to delete that one because that one's just junk. Unless, like I said, you have a white background and somehow works with it, or you just go, whatever, I'm just going to deal with it. Or you can go to the site right here. Again, it'll take us to an external site. And you could right click and save the image and go into Photoshop or whatever, or GIMP or whatever program you use, if you use any editing programs, and you could get rid of the background yourself if you really, really want to use that artwork. Up to you. So we got the house. We're going to place the house in here. We'll put it right here. Now let's get a well. Let's say this house has a well. Oh, I already have it saved. Or I can take something in here if I want. I'm going to go with the one I picked. Place it in here. That well's kind of big. Let's scale that down to about that. Let me make this house a little bit bigger. So that works. We got a well and a house. All good and well. So now we got the setup. Well, now let's add our tokens. Make sure we're on tokens, and we're going to just type in fighter. Now we have a fighter. Let's place the fighter in. Oh, I made a mistake though. This fighter's all nice and big now, right? But we got to remember, I'm on the map and background layer. I want to be on the token layer when I place my tokens in. But instead of just deleting this character, changing the token, and redropping it in, I can right click on it, I can go to layer, and I can change it to token. Now you notice it kind of faded. That's because I can't select it anymore. I can double click on the road and get the road's properties, but I don't want that. I'm going to switch over to the token layer now, and now I can control it. Well, now it's kind of big, so let's scale it down to proper size, which tends to be 1 square for a standard medium-sized creature, at least in Dungeons & Dragons it is. I'm going to zoom in a little here, holding an Alt button, right mouse button over, and here it is. Here's my, an adventurer. Let's drop in the other adventurer. And look, it's already preset. Rotate them if they're coming from that way. And now they're all set. I got my tokens here. Let's say 2-party adventure. And, or 2-character party for an adventure. Now I select them and their tokens, icons come up, different changing stuff. I'm not getting into that, but I'm going to open this and I can edit the tokens. Different permissions of what you see. If you see their name and his name is Man Dog, I don't know what it actually is. And show template, you can add their health under the red, and bam. Nice features. You can double click on it and that'll open up, or you can just single click and these pop up. Now cool thing is I can go -5 on this. And it disappears and now the health bar goes down. So cool features of that. So this is how, this is a straightforward building a simple setup. I've been working with Roll20 for quite a bit now, and I've made plenty of maps. Obviously from the intro I showed you, I made that 300 by 300 map, cutting and pasting a lot of pieces using graphic or imaging manipulation programs to cut out pieces, and I put that whole map together. So this was fairly simple for me to put together. This is very, very basic for me to put together. But starting off, this might be something a little more challenging. It might be easier. I don't know. Everybody's got their own learning paces. But this is it. This is something simple. You can get even more complex and complicated and as big into it as you actually want. Like I said, compared to what I showed you before in the beginning of the video, to this right here and now, to being able to place in your own custom maps. So that wraps up the tutorial on using the art library and making adventure maps for your campaigns. I hope you learned a lot. I hope it was very helpful. Feel free to leave any questions in the comments also, and don't forget to like this video. Please share it with your friends, and remember to click that subscribe button I greatly appreciate it, and as always, thank you for watching. I'm Chaotic Shmoo, and I'm going to see you next time.